I'd like to welcome everyone to the conference call. My name is Armin Morin, and you are on the Big Seminar Preview Series. Tonight's call is with a fantastic guest that is just amazing copywriter. We're going to find out who he is, what he does in just a moment. But before we get into that tonight, we are going to tell you a little bit of an update here. We've got just hundreds upon hundreds of people already registered for the big seminar. Now, the key is, though, there's something that has come up that is that could be a problem for you. And let me explain. The fact is that the hotel itself is filling up extremely quickly with the number of people that we have signed up for the seminar. Now, the fact is, if you've been thinking about coming to the event, you need to register your seat immediately. Basically, you need to register your seat by simply registering your seat for the event, first of all, and then registering your hotel room immediately after. Because if you don't register your hotel room, you will not have a hotel room at the same hotel that we're doing the seminar at. I know we're doing it right by the airport, but the fact is that it really, I'm going to say it, sucks to not stay in the same hotel where the event is, because any kind of walking that you want to do, the seminar does go late. There will be times that you'll probably be leaving from the event around midnight or after. You don't want to have to walk. You don't want to have to take a cab. You don't want to do any of that. If you do not register your seat for the seminar soon, then you will probably have to go through that. That's just the way it is. You know, most hotels try to get us to commit or get us to cut off our room block about 3 weeks out. We've convinced them to let us go a little bit longer, but they don't like it. Therefore, we need you to register your seat, because we can't do anything once they shut off our room block, meaning that we can't give you that discounted rate that we currently have. Also, along with our discount rate, just want you to know, is that we've also arranged for you to get free Internet access the whole time that you're there at the hotel. So as long as you're there at the hotel, registered through our room block, you will get a discounted, not discounted, but you will get free Internet access. So that makes a huge difference for you to register your room through us, because I know many of you on this call, you run a business, you're online. You know, I'm in the exact same position. You need to be online. You need to check your email. You need to make sure your business is still up and running. So that's definitely a benefit that we've arranged for you, special for you. Again, they didn't want to do it, but we went ahead and got them to do it because of the numbers of people that we're bringing there. So, register your seat for the seminar right now while we're on the phone. You can. It's called multitasking. You can do two things at the same time. You can fill out the form and also listen to the call. Number two, what you want to do is immediately after you register, you're going to receive an email with our discounted code that will put you into our block to make sure that you also get the free Internet access the whole time you're there at the event. So, again, keep that in mind. Register your seat immediately. I can tell you this, you want to register your seat before Monday, because on Monday I'm going to announce something crazy that is just amazing, and the only people that are going to have access to it are the people that will have signed up by Monday. The people that sign up after Monday will not get what I'm talking about. And I can tell you this, it's not just worth $1,000. It's not worth $2,000. It's not even worth $5,000. It's worth a lot more than that. Now, I know it sounds a little cryptic and a little ployed as far as the marketing goes, but yes, it's true. What we're talking about and what I'm going to do on Monday is going to amaze you, but you need to register your seat by Monday. If you register after this, I will not give it, period. I'm very strict on rules like that. So, with that said, register your seat now before the end of the weekend, because you need to do it. If you're planning on coming, you definitely need to be there, and I'll tell you more about the seminar in a minute. But now back to the task at hand, and that happens to be who we are talking to tonight. Tonight we're talking to a good friend of mine, Michael Fortin, and Michael, as many people know, is a tremendous copywriter. He's written a copy for many of the fantastic marketers that are on the Internet today, such as John Reese, Frank Kern, and many others, Kurt Christensen, myself included. And he's just done a fantastic job doing that and does it better than anyone that I know. And I can tell you this, is that the techniques that he's taught me over the years since I've known him have just been incredible to my business, and literally have added tens of thousands of dollars, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars to my business because of what I've learned from him. So you need to pay close attention to this call tonight. So the thing is, tonight, Michael, I'd like to welcome you to the Big Seminar Preview Series.
Well, thanks, Armin. Thanks for having me on.
Now, Michael, you have been online for quite some time. I know that. And actually, you've had some exciting things happen in your life recently. Let's talk about that real quick. Let's get off subject here right off the bat, and let's get that out of the way.
Very, very true. And in fact, I have a few surprises for you, too. First of all, let me just explain what you just said. For a lot of people who are not knowledgeable of what has happened in my life, just recently I proposed to my soulmate, Miss Sylvie Charrier of workaholics.com, workaholicsforhire.com. She's going to beat me up because I said it wrong. And I proposed to her live on stage at a recent event, and we're getting married next year. And the thing is that Sylvie is the secret weapon behind many of the top marketers, too. She does a lot of the support and project management work and marketing campaign work for a lot of the top marketers. And one of the things that we have a lot in common in general, but we also have that in common is that we both work for a lot of the top marketers out there. And our marriage, I guess if you want to call it that way, especially in our business, has come to a little bit of a change in some of the things that I do right now, some of the things that I focus on, and now the things that I want to teach, and I'm going to be teaching at the next big seminar. And two little surprises. One surprise is the fact that I'm not going to be speaking alone on stage at the big seminar in Los Angeles. I will be accompanied by my fiancée. And just to give you a bit of a preview, I want to introduce my lovely bride-to-be, Sylvie Charrier from Workaholics for Hire.
Hi, guys. Hi, Armand.
Hey, welcome to the call, Sylvie.
Thank you.
This is a surprise.
Surprise.
Now, Michael said he had a couple surprises for me, so that means like you guys are going to get married at the big seminar, right?
That's what you're hoping for, isn't it?
How about April 7th? That's the next big seminar. So. Well, let's talk about this. And now, you guys, again, many people know about Michael as far as what he's done as far as copywriting. Sylvie, you run Workaholics for Hire, and basically and correct me if I'm wrong, but it's basically an outsourcing company. Is that correct?
Right. Well, we specialize in project fulfillment. People think of outsourcing these days with a slightly negative tone. Not my fault, I promise. That has to do with hiring the wrong people, and what we refer to as a very, very different process. It's managed outsourcing. Instead of dealing with freelancers, none of our clients do. They just deal with project managers. So I think that's what makes all the difference in the world. You're dealing with people who know marketing, who understand the bigger picture, not just the smaller piece of the puzzle. Right.
Because you do outsourcing for things like that I would never thought that you could outsource, which is like managing your AdWords campaign.
Oh, yeah. Oh, if you think about it, anything that we do as marketers, we're sitting behind a screen. It can be done from anywhere as long as it's trained right.
So
that's the key.
That's it's pretty important being able to outsource items like that to someone else. But once being that you and Michael are together, all of a sudden I know you guys start thinking of different ways, different things that you guys are doing already, and I know you've come up with this kind of a new system.
Well, absolutely, and you have to keep in mind a lot of what we do, we hear not just the positive effect of what happens when Michael puts out an amazing piece of copy that makes $1 million in a day. We don't just hear the good stuff, we hear the negative stuff, too.
Yeah, I said a lot of negative stuff about that copy.
Oh, boy, am I going to buy you a drink. No, when it comes to the negative side of things is when things just aren't working. No matter how much money people are throwing at a product, no matter how much money they're throwing into trying to generate more traffic, no matter how great the copy is, no matter how many AdWords they put up, no matter how many keywords they've got out there, no matter how cheap the keywords are, some products just don't work. And we've heard these complaints time and time again, and it actually was the inspiration behind us coming together as a team and putting out a concept that you guys really haven't considered before, and it's been right there in front of you the whole time.
Sounds good to me. So basically what you're doing is you'll be introducing a new concept. I'm not sure how much you guys want to talk about this particular subject on the call, so I'm going to kind of play it by ear here.
Well, we're going to give a few tips, and we're going to talk about the concept in general. Okay, but the step-by-step layout will be done at the big seminar. So if you really want to know the ins and outs of this particular system that we've put together, you better come to the big seminar in Los Angeles. But let me just concur with Sylvie by saying, when I write copy, a lot of times people will talk about all the wonderful sales letters that have done extremely well. And little do people know is that sometimes people come back to me and they say, Mike, your copy sucks. And I say, well, I think it's okay. Maybe it does suck. And I'm a testing fanatic. And some of the things that I talked about at the last big seminar was the power of testing your copy and the power of improving on your copy and your conversion rate. Well, you can do that. I can rewrite copy. I can rewrite it so many times, but sometimes all I'm doing is beating a dead horse. And what I mean by that is no matter how great the copy is, if the copy doesn't sell, it could be a couple things. One is that there's bad target marketing. And that sometimes is also pretty well done because Sylvie, also part of her business that she does for a lot of the marketers, is feasibility and viability research, where she actually tests to see if there's going to be a demand for the product. But sometimes they don't either do that or they do poor research. They see there's a demand, but the product just doesn't sell. People are not willing to pay for it. And here's the one thing that we have in common is that the great majority of people that we work with sell e-books. They sell info products. They sell content. And when you sell content, you have to rely on a couple of things. You have to rely on the fact that there is a supply out there as much as a demand, because if people are willing to look for your product, they have to be willing to pay for it. And a lot of times that's not true. A lot of markets that I've written copy for, sometimes people just want the free information, or they might want to buy something that's maybe a little deeper. The second thing is a lot of people that come to me wanting to write their copy are people who've written their own ebooks, their own info product, or created their own software even. And what happens is they're tied passionately to their concept. They're so passionately tied to it that they either, I got people who have taken 6 months to even a year, and one time I actually wrote copy for a guy who took him 2 years to write an ebook. Sometimes they spend a lot of money on it. They spend a lot of money in having somebody ghostwrite the product for them, or in setting up Google AdWords campaigns, which is why sometimes what happens is I'm not the first resource, the first go-to guy, as John Carlton would say. I'm often the last go-to guy, because what happens is when they got the product, they know there's a demand for it. They write their own copy or whatever, and then it just doesn't sell. So they come to me and they say, Fortin, Fortinize this sales copy for me, and it doesn't convert. It still doesn't convert, and I'll rewrite it 2, 3, 4 times, and it's just it doesn't work at all. What happens is, or what happened, was that Sylvie and I got together and we brainstormed a process where one of the things that's really, really, kicking butt lately is the pay-per-click industry. And it's not just a pay-per-click, but let me just say that pay-per-click is the one that most people know about. There's actually a lot more, and I'll come back to that a little later. The pay-per-click industry is where you have the ability to have content on a website. People come in, they click on your ads, and you get income for having people click on the ads that are displayed on your website. Now, here's the other problem on the other side of this is that if, let's say, you have a content site and you have either poor ads or poor positioning or content that doesn't get people or conducive to getting people to click on your ads, or just things that don't get people to come back to your site because stickiness is another factor, and so on and so forth. You're going to make $1 a day in AdSense, and you're going to kick yourself again saying, what am I doing wrong? There is, and what we found was a magic formula to turn your dud into dollars. Sylvie, you want to add something to that?
Well, what I was going to add to this was this came about. I have a number of clients who have really high costs associated with Google AdWords, and they're throwing money at their product on the one side. And one way that this came about was I was strategizing with one of my clients, and I said, okay, look, What if we set up a secondary site and we offset your pay-per-click fees? This is where it came from initially. And it was a simple concept that, you're going to drive traffic to two places. You're going to be paying for your driven traffic on one side, but you're also going to be making money on the other side with your content site. And I found something very interesting going on. They started making more money in AdSense revenue than they were in book sales. And I thought, wait a second, that wasn't the intention. It was simply to offset the initial costs. And we realized why this was going on. Search engines were going crazy for the content site, and they were ignoring the sales page. So we decided to find a way to harmonize the two concepts. You don't have to choose anymore whether you're going to have a content site or an info product site. We found a way that you can merge the two concepts together, optimize them in such a way that every single visitor on your site, whether it's your info site or your content site, generates cash for you, one way or the other. There's a perfect formula for doing this. It goes beyond what most people have been teaching about content sites. It goes beyond what most people have been talking about with AdSense, and it certainly goes beyond what most people have been talking about with niche info products. It combines all the best concepts from across the board and fine-tunes them to a point where you are no longer producing the occasional dud, or worse yet, 8 out of 10 of the products that you put out there sell for a while and then die off eventually. You can combine all of the concepts into the perfect formula. We're assembling this team, and we started doing this at the Phoenix seminar where I was proposed to. This team is unbelievable. This group of people are what we call our masterminds. These are individuals who are testing fanatics just like us. And we are constantly playing with the different ways that you can do things, finding that perfect formula. Now, that's the formula we intend to be talking about, how to go from the very beginning when you have absolutely no clue what you're doing, or you've got a product that's already produced and it's not selling, or you've got a product that was selling and is no longer selling. No matter how you put it, we can use this concept to your advantage to create cash flowing for you on a consistent, reliable, long-term basis. This is just so exciting for us. When we came across this, when we started testing this, when we started seeing the results from this, we spent many sleepless nights pacing back and forth thinking about how we were going to do this and how we would present it in such a way that will make it easy to implement, easy to convert duds into dollars. Simple, one-click, automatic stuff. This is not sites where it's lots and lots of links. This is actual bookmarkable sites, things that people really love to see. They love going to these sites. They love interacting with these sites. We're talking about ways to transform the way you do business online. It doesn't matter what you were previously doing. You can continue to do that, only better.
And the thing is, being a copywriter and also being a fanatical tester, there's a lot of elements of copywriting and a lot of elements of testing that go into this system. A lot of people have to understand that getting people to buy a product relies a lot on the power of words. And I also do a lot of testing. I test headlines, I test colors and formats and photographs and positioning, backgrounds, and so on and so forth. I test call to actions. A lot of those things apply to a sticky content site that is part of our system. And I just want to compliment, and what you said, Armin, earlier on the call was true, because I'm going to be talking a little bit about copywriting because it does apply to this, and it also applies to the entire harmonization model that Sylvie just made a point about. But I want to also introduce this, is that people have, and Sylvie I'm just complimenting what she's saying, is that people either they have a dream, they have an idea, they have some kind of concept in their minds of what they want to do. A lot of people that come to your seminar, Armin, and I've noticed this because you've actually queried your crowd very often at most of your seminars, asking people where they're at. Some people that go to the seminar are newbies. Some of the people that go to their seminars are thinking about going into internet marketing, and a lot of people are making tons and tons and tons of money right now, and they just come for their progressive learning and for networking and so on and so forth. Well, I just want to go back to the dream aspect, is that some people have ideas for products. They don't know where to go from that point. Some people have a product that just doesn't want to sell, no matter how much AdWords they throw at it, no matter how much traffic they throw at it, and especially no matter how many times they rewrite their sales copy. And then there's the third aspect, which Sylvie just mentioned, was people who launch an info product, they do extremely well. They will sell in the first, maybe week or every month or even the first year, and then it slowly tapers off. It just dies out or saturates the market, or it just levels off at a certain point. Any one of those three aspects can be applied to the system. So if you come to the big seminar and you are either a person who has an idea for an info product, you already have an info product, or you had an info product, this system is very much applicable to all three.
You know, the great part about having both of you guys on this phone is that I really don't have to talk to you.
You get to breathe a little.
I've been timing. It's been 17 minutes since the last time I said anything.
This is a rarity. I think this should go on the calendar.
I think it is too. But I'm getting a lot of work done in the meantime. But
thanks.
But no, seriously, everyone on the call that's listening right now. I mean, I've been privileged to see what is happening, what they're doing, and it's really true. What they're doing is they're combining desks. Now, think about it. Think about this. You have a product that, let's say in the worst case scenario, and you guys correct me any time that I'm wrong on any parts of this, but you have a product that basically is not working. Let's just assume that you have a product that's not working. Mm-hmm. It's not working. It's not selling, whatever the case may be. Due to various factors, could be the copy, could be the product itself, who knows. But basically taking that product, modifying it, and then putting it into a manner where, it's going to cover the problems that people are receiving right now. For example, a product not selling. Well, if it's not selling, then why continue to try to beat a dead horse?
Why throw money at something that's never going to sell?
Exactly. The second aspect of it is that it's not doing you any bit of good, so why not let's take that and let's generate some kind of, use it for some good, basically, in the method of generating traffic to this particular product, which seems almost contradicting. When you think about it, I mean, without seeing the whole process like you will at the big seminar, but using that product to generate traffic, and then at the same time earning revenue from that, as well as even building a list and many other things. This concept is really this concept is really it's different than what you'll ever see. You'll ever see. Period. It's not something that's talked about on the net. I can tell you that 100%. I know all the different methods. They talked about Sylvie and Michael talked about Google AdSense. I think that's probably one of the most confusing subjects. It's the biggest, I should say, the most sexy topic out there on the internet right now, which is
passive.
Yeah, AdSense. I mean, when you look at AdSense and when you look at the revenue that can be generated, I mean, I've been doing AdSense for I don't know for how many years, 2-3 years now, I guess, since it very started. And a lot of people know I kind of do it behind the scenes. I don't really talk too much about it.
I don't blame you.
But we do a tremendous income with it, and Google sends us our little priority envelope once a month, and we're happy. We laugh all the way to the bank. But the other part is that concept. I can tell you this is a huge amount of income, because imagine having no customers. Imagine having no customers. Imagine having no customer service for those customers, but yet getting paid the same or even more than if you had all those customers and things. That's like a beautiful system. It's like a perfect world system.
Exactly.
And that's part of the way that the system works, and that's just one aspect. But then the other aspect is it covers what let's just talk about search engines real quick. The concept that you guys are working with here gives the search engines exactly what they're looking for, and here's the biggest questions I know that a lot of people on this call right now are probably thinking or thinking about, and that is, okay, well, is there anything, let's use the word illegal about this?
Absolutely not. In fact, we're doing things exactly the way that the world wants to see it. We're responding to a need. Let me ask you a question, Armin. Now, I know you enough to know you love shopping online.
Yeah, I buy everything.
You're one of those guys that actually gets on the net looking for things to buy.
Yep.
Not a lot of people are like that. Most people, when they get on the internet, what are they looking for?
Information.
Free content.
Yeah, information, definitely.
The toughest job we have as info marketers is convincing them why the thing they were originally looking for should be actually purchased and not given for free.
Right.
That's the toughest thing. That's why we're seeing conversion rates the way that we're seeing them. And we consider 3 and 5% to be good?
Right.
Would you like to convert at 40, 50, 60% instead?
Absolutely.
That's the difference. We're talking about the difference between a cold market and a warm market. We're talking about changing the way that information is presented so that people can't help but love you, want to send you money, feel obligated to send you money, and buy anything you tell them to. That's the difference.
Now, let's, how do I say this? Now, what we're saying is that this method, it's an entire, actually the business model itself is an entirely different business model than they've been exposed to before.
Exactly.
So, most people, I know right now what's going through most people's heads on this call is, well, if it's how can that be? It doesn't make sense. And in listening right now, I can tell everyone on this call that it doesn't make sense. But think about what you want right now, what your focus is, and your bottom line, if you're in business, there's only one purpose in business, and that is to make money. I mean, there is no other reason. In fact, if you continue on with your business and you do not make money, after so many years, it's now referred to as a hobby. And at that point, it's no longer a tax deduction for you or anything else. It's a hobby, and therefore you just do it for fun or because you want to, because of your level of interest. But in a business, your objective is to make money, and what this business model is teaching you, it's a paradigm shift. It's what we've been traditionally taught to do it, and what they're saying is that not that the methods that you're using currently are necessarily wrong.
Exactly.
What they're saying is that this is just different. It's
the new and improved version. In fact, Armin, you were talking about the sizable income you make off of Google AdSense. I'm willing to bet, now, we were together in Vegas, and you didn't see me at the slot machines very much. I'm just not a gambler. But in this case, I'm willing to bet that we can double or triple your existing revenue by converting some of your existing AdSense sites correctly.
Right.
Applying those fine-tuned magic formula points that we've tested and made sure worked. We've made tiny little changes to small little sites and seen triple in AdSense revenue in a single day.
Right. And that's one of the things where most people, I think, I know Michael, I know both of you are fanatical testers, and the question when it comes down to AdSense, I mean, is that AdSense is itself, and just so everyone knows, AdSense is all about positioning. And when I mean positioning, I'm talking about positioning of normally where your ads are on that particular page and how they're presented within the content of that page, be if it actually stands out on the page, which can be good or it can be bad in some cases.
That's right.
And, I had, for example, let me give everyone a real quick example of a bad positioning on AdSense page. I have a client, he's a student. He actually might even be listening on this call right now. But I won't mention his name. But we started talking, and, he's getting tremendous traffic, fantastic traffic. And all of a sudden, he started telling me what his AdSense revenue was. And as we were talking, I asked him one simple question. I said, okay, well, where's your AdSense located? Where is it on the page? And it happened to be on the lower left-hand corner where no one's ever really going to see it. And, common sense says that they're probably not going to see it that way. So we made some minor changes. We just relocated the position of the AdSense towards the top of the page where someone's actually going to see it. And we did some minor tweaks to it as well too. And I believe on that particular site, I think we at least doubled or even tripled the income off that particular site. But just some minor things. But the thing is that what Sylvia and Michael are talking about is that, hey, you're doing many of this stuff already.
Right.
So it's and again, they're not really, you're not teaching them something new necessarily,
but changing an AdSense course.
Changing the way that they're doing it already.
Exactly. We're talking about changing the way that content is presented. We're talking about changing the way info products are presented. We're talking about completely changing the way you approach your customer. It's a new way of approaching your customers to appeal to them on a level they get. They understand it's what they expect to see, and they're happy to see it. That's the difference. You're not trying to pitch them something that they really wanted for free in the first place. The difference is astounding when you see it. I'm going to give you an example, and I know some of you on the call are going to recognize the topic at the very least. Let's talk about those top 300 keyword lists.
Okay.
You know, a lot of people will make the mistake of amateurishly, and all the best of us are capable of this, going through those top 300 lists and picking out the top search terms and leaving it at that, producing an info product and trying to sell it. It's a big mistake. One of my very good clients created a book based on the concept of tattoos. Now, tattoos are a heavily searched term on the Internet. Lots of traffic going to it. But the product itself was a complete dud, and now it's gathering dust. We're in the process of converting that over so that now it'll actually make money instead of cost the guy a fortune. Because really what people are looking for when they're looking for tattoos, for example, is free tattoo designs, tattoo information, free stuff that they can bring to their local tattoo artist. They are not looking to spend money. They're looking to click things, so give them what they're looking for. But there's a way of monetizing them afterwards, long afterwards. Use this process to build a number of niche lists of people who can't wait to hear what you've got to tell them next. And there's a way to do that, and there's a way not to do that.
Well, you know,
and I just want to interject here because it's what Sylvie said was extremely important. And to, forgive me to use a pun, but it's a marriage between two different business models that work perfectly together if you do it right. I tend to say this to people is that, being a fanatical tester, being a copywriter, and I always try to find out what are the best conversion rates. I also use a lot of tools. Of course, I use, for example, multi-track generator for my sales copy, and I've used it with my clients, and I suggest it to my clients as well and my students. But there are also tons of, we have this magic formula, but we also have the easy button. And we'll share with you some of the things that we do in order to do this in a snap. And, literally taking a product and converting it into the model that we've presented to you today within an hour, even less than half an hour, and making money almost right away. But here's the thing is that the process of testing copy is to find out what people are willing to respond to and at. And what I mean by that is in order to increase your response rate, you test a lot of things, but what you're doing is you're finding out what people are willing to buy it at, what kind of words, what kind of colors, what kind of prices, and so on and so forth. Well, we've been doing this with our model, and here's the thing is that when you use these kinds of tools that we use, that we'll be sharing, and also use the formula that we'll be sharing, you can literally find out deeper things that will enable you to create saleable products in the back end or in the side end. And we'll talk about that more in detail in Los Angeles. But you can actually marry those two things together by doing it the right way, because now you finally find out the magic formula. You finally find out what people are not only looking for, but then once you've gotten that information, what they're willing to pay for. And here's the thing is that you can make a lot more money from a product that's not doing so well, or it's doing okay, and you can do a lot more money with the content-based type model. But then when you marry that with the other sales model and you do it properly and building, you can use it to build a list, you can do a whole bunch of things with it, is that then you can introduce the sales model that will only add to that revenue, that income stream. So we've done this, and we've tested tiny little tweaks where we've increased by 300% our AdSense and pay-per-click revenue. But then when you marry that, you add your sales to that, that's on top of that. That's money that you make on top of doing this model. And so you're basically doubling, and not only doubling, but at the same time, you're actually selling finally a product that people are willing to pay for, and that's more evergreen, because now you're going on an upward slope rather than this either a product that's a dud, that's not doing well, or a product that sells like crazy, but then it just levels off. So I just wanted to add that.
Sounds good to me.
I also want to add that this doesn't just apply to two kinds of things. We've just talked about info products, and we've talked about content sites. The concept and the marriage happens across the board, and you can use this same concept for public domain materials. You can use this for reprint right materials. You can use this for ghostwritten materials. You can use this for blogs, podcasts, anything that is information provided to individuals, this can apply to. And there are a number of ways to combine all of those concepts together into the ultimate cash machine. The trick is to do this right, do this well, and do this often.
Bingo.
And that's one of the keys. I talk to a lot of people about, about AdSense, period. And the problem that most people have, and in business, period, is the fact that they're not consistent. I think that's really key that you hit upon that point. And when I say consistent, meaning that if they did something and it's successful, for some strange reason, they don't take the logical step, which is to do it again.
Right.
And I don't know why that is, and I think if we can figure that out, it'd be tremendous. We'd probably win a Nobel Prize. But
I have some theories.
And it's not, and I'm not just talking about other people. I'm talking about even myself personally. For some strange reason, this works, so why not just keep doing more of it?
Well, I think honestly, it's because people are trying to do everything by themselves.
That's a good point.
And I think that can be a very overwhelming sensation. You look at this and look at how much work it went into developing that model for yourself, and you just get tired thinking about doing that again.
Right.
And that's where people make their mistakes as well.
And that's pretty.
I want to use the pun again. They're married to their idea.
I think we have a recurring theme here today.
But it's just amazing, when something works like this, and when you find this out, because I know it's really exciting, to find and develop new things, such as this, and the questions I know that people are probably thinking here. Obviously, the first question we have: is it legal? Yes. Is it going to get us banned from the search engine?
Oh God, no.
The answer is definitely no, because I've already tested the process. And I test the process based upon what they've told me already, and I actually have access to the process as well too.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that's not going to happen. The other part is the longevity, and Michael had mentioned this already, and that is regarding that the longevity of this process is that it's evergreen. It can happen over and over again. There is not an end necessarily in sight.
Exactly. You don't reach the saturation point that you see with even the great products, the ones who do great for a year. Well, you don't see that saturation point happen. Well, it just keeps growing.
Here's a classic example. Everyone knows about this particular product because it's been mentioned in so many different calls, and I know he talks about it himself on many calls. But Frank Kern, talks about his teaching his parrot how to talk product.
Mm-hmm.
Well, as soon as he did that, there's a bunch of people saying, well, if Frank did a parrot book, I guess
I'm going to do a parrot book. Believe me, I was behind the scenes on that.
Yeah, I should do a parrot book too. So, therefore, when a short time after Frank revealed that particular niche, and instead of being creative, many people went out and just duplicated that exact niche. And I haven't, quite honestly, I haven't done a search for parrot books or anything lately. I have really no need for that.
Oh, it's saturated.
But if you could get me a book on how to teach a dog to talk, I would buy that in a heartbeat. But
how to sing country.
We could buy that. I'd buy that too. But the fact is that this that niche got really saturated. This particular concept, you could literally have everyone doing it.
Absolutely.
That's the problem. Is that in many topics is that you have a person. You have a group of people, and not everyone can do it. First of all, they don't have either the skill,
right,
which this one doesn't really take any skill in order to do basic HTML. I should say basic HTML even, since everything's really provided for them.
Exactly, templates, everything.
But they need to know basically just how to FTP. I can't think of too much more than that. And so,
actually, I'll take that a bit farther. We've managed to work out a process whereby you really don't need to do any of it yourself anyway. So if you think about that, and if you realize that this is one of those true passive revenue systems,
so this
it isn't a it'll be passive eventually after you work for 6 months to make it happen. It's a true passive revenue model.
So this is what just sit back and make money.
Exactly.
I don't really want to say that.
I don't know about you, but that's what I love. I have no intention of being a workaholic for the rest of my life. I would really rather sit back and just let my business run on automatic pilot. That's my goal. And look at the company name. It started for a reason. I love to work, but I don't like to work stupid. I like to work smart. So I'm always developing more efficient processes, both for my own business and for the businesses of my clients. As you know, I work with the top marketers out there. We're always playing with new marketing strategies. I see what works, and I see what doesn't. I see what you guys aren't telling everybody else, and that's what we've applied here, is the stuff that not only our customers have tried, tested, and true, but the things that we've recommended to them based on the overview, the general. Most of the marketers out there are only seeing things from a limited perspective. Sorry, Armand, it's absolutely true. You see things from what you yourself have discovered and maybe talks around the round table. But apart from that, you don't really see the big, huge picture overall, all the grunt stuff that goes behind the scenes, the things that work, the things that don't work. You should have seen the panic that happened when Google changed their policy. All my clients were calling me, freaking out. What am I going to do? All I had to do was find a more efficient process and apply it across the board.
Right.
This is my job. This is my role at Workaholics for Hire. It's always finding a better way. So it was only natural that we find a better way for all of our clients to develop passive revenue.
And that just makes a lot of sense for everybody, to understand. This is a concept that was started and created first of all from two people that are absolutely brilliant at what they do. Second of all, it's put together based on sound marketing principles that were not just thrown together, but actually put together, tested, changed, tested again, changed, tested again, and certainly is constantly being tested because that's just the way business works, especially on the internet. But this is a tested system, and one of the great things I'm glad that will happen is that at the big seminar that they'll be able to teach you in detail. And I know some of you on this call may be saying, this is all very cryptic to me. And you know what? It's absolutely right. It is a little cryptic right now, and the reason is because the way this concept works, and once you see it, you really do have to see and understand what happens. Once you see it, though, I can guarantee you that what they're going to show will revolutionize the way, A, that you do business, B, your income that you're currently making right now, because I know the power behind this concept and the incomes that can be made if done properly. I'm just going to tell everyone, a lot of people know I do AdSense, and just from the AdSense component of this particular program, if you know how to do AdSense correctly, you can have huge, huge incomes on the internet. My best month on AdSense to date has been almost almost $100,000. It was actually $96,000 in a single month just from AdSense. That's in addition to what my normal business does. Think about that. What did I have to do for that? Not a lot of work necessarily. I did the work and I left it alone. It just kind of continued on its own, and I didn't really have to follow up. I didn't have any customer service. I didn't have to do anything for it. It was a beautiful day, when that check arrived. And and we continue to do those processes because I know they work. But you know what? The traditional ways to do AdSense, quite honestly, that you've been taught up until this particular point have been a little difficult in many cases. And what I mean by difficult is that it was dependent upon search engines, a lot of it. It was dependent upon programs. It was dependent upon knowing how to work the programs properly. And when I say working the programs properly, whether you're using like a mass page-building system like Directory Generator or any of the other programs like Traffic Equalizer or MetaWebs or anything like that, these programs, they work great. They do what they're supposed to do. There's nothing wrong with the programs, any of those. The problem is that the people don't know how to use them. And what I say by don't know how to use them is that you do have to know a little bit about search engines in order to get the maximum benefit from it.
Right.
And that's why we tweak templates. That's why you need to do things on your own in order to learn that. But you still have to learn that process. What Michael and Sylvia are talking about is that they have a system that is unlike those types of programs that you can generate income from AdSense with a lot less work. And in fact, as Sylvia had mentioned, you can actually have someone do this for you to generate that income, or where it truly is a passive type of situation. And once you know the system, see, that's, I think, what you need to understand, everyone on this call, is that, you know, everything that a successful person does on the Internet is based upon a system that either A, works or B, doesn't work. But most of the time, if they've been around for a length of time on the Internet, they've figured out a system that has worked for them, or a particular method that they have either developed or learned or modified. In most cases, it has been the modifications that have made the most money. Taking an existing system, looking at what the holes in it, looking at how it can be improved, and then based upon what they know, based upon what the market dictates, tweaking it, and then getting the results from it. What they have actually done with this system, and I can tell you because I've seen it, I've used it, I've done it, this particular system is just amazing. And once you see it and once you understand it, you are going to be shocked. I mean, beyond belief.
In fact, Armin, I just want to, just so that people are not misled here, because we keep using the word AdSense and AdSense and AdSense. This is not an AdSense-based system. This is a system that's created to generate revenue out of duds or dreams. And the way we do that is, there's part of it is to make the content. There's actually a new term out there I've seen. It's called Googleicious. Let's just talk about search engines in general. There's AdSense, but there are over 30-some ad networks out there that we're testing right now, that we're working with, AdSonar, AdBright, and so on and so forth. But it's also more than that. It's actually putting your site on steroids, so to speak, because what we're doing is we're also adding the power of affiliate marketing and back-end marketing to this model, this marriage that we're talking about. And it goes well beyond AdSense. In fact, I'm going to drop a few hints. ClickBank, Commission Junction, Amazon.com, affiliate programs that you're a partner of. There's a way to do it, and we have a system that we teach our students on how to do it properly that will not contravene any of the Google policies. Because here's what the biggest problem is that when you have, for example, Google AdSense on your site, Google has very strict guidelines. For example, one is that you cannot add any other ads on your site that compete with Google. But their policies also state that you have the ability to do other little things done in the right way that can maximize other aspects of your site that you wouldn't even dream about, that we've found and we've tested, and we're going to be introducing that at the big seminar.
And I'm glad that you brought up Directory Generator and MetaWebs and these other tools. In fact, a lot of our clients are currently using those tools in combination with what we talk about and maximizing what those tools can do for them. Generating pages can be done if done properly, and if you've got a site that you would want to stay at, if you've got a site that you would want to bookmark and come back to and speak with and communicate with and interact with, then you've got a site that Google loves and every other search engine then follows. So the key is to maximize the existing tools. And, of course, Workaholics for Hire, what we do is all that background grunt work. Our best clients are those who absolutely never touch these tools. They just get them, throw it at us, and say, you do it. And so we do. So we're playing with these tools constantly. We know how they work, and we know how they can work better. And that's where we've married so many of these concepts. We're not in competition with anybody out there. And I love that. I love the spirit of teamwork that we're talking about. It's marrying all the best concepts and then taking it that one next level beyond.
That's the great part about this, is that, everything that we've talked about so far on this particular call, really is it's a revolutionary concept. B, the way it's structured, only benefits, and no matter what they're currently doing right now, it's just going to enhance what they're currently doing, and that's the beauty of it. Now, at the seminar, obviously, because we're almost out of time here, but at the seminar, you guys are obviously going to go into details into what it is, how to do it, and how people can get started immediately with it.
Absolutely.
So, with that, folks, this I can tell you this again. I'm kind of a little redundant on this, but I can tell you this is a pretty exciting concept. Every once in a while on the internet, something changes. A paradigm shift happens, and then there's those people that jump on that paradigm shift, and they ride it. They ride that wave, if you want to call it, to the next step, the next level. And those people that do that, they make a tremendous amount of income in the process of doing it. And the smart people usually not only take that wave and just ride the wave till the wave dies, but they continue on in that direction, in that path. And what I mean by that is that the smart people on the Internet, the people that survive, the people that have longevity on the net, learn how to adapt and modify what it is they're currently doing. Some people claim and state that, you can't make money doing whatever. For example, there's a lot of people that say you can't make money doing e-books anymore. That's just one example. You can't make money generating pages or AdSense on the Internet anymore. You can't do this, you can't do that. It's probably true for that individual because of the way they think of it. Whatever system that is on the Internet, that has been around. Here's another example. I ran across this the other day. I ran across a person that was using FFA pages. Mm-hmm. Not to make my favorite subject as far as FFA pages, because I personally don't like them. But when I talked to this particular person, they were making a tremendous income from it. Mm-hmm. Now, is it because that they don't work, or because who's right and who's wrong? Well, I'm right. It doesn't work for me. They're right because it does work for them. And, so obviously I wanted to explore that area a little bit more to see if there's something to it. Is there something I'm missing? Am I doing something wrong? Am I too close-minded? The biggest reason is I didn't adapt. I didn't adapt like they did. They modified the system. They changed it around. And that's probably one of the oldest types of advertising that has been around on the Internet. It was around when I first got on in 1996, still around today. And again, some people can use it, some people don't. But the thing is, the smart people, whatever industry, whatever product, whatever service, whatever system there is, they actually jump on board. They're the early adopters of it. They ride it out. They modify, and they change with the times. That's the key. Change is good. The Internet is all about change. What works today may not work tomorrow, but if you modify and adapt with the current market trends and what is happening, and with the facts at hand, being, in our case, on the Internet, we have things to contend with, like such as Google, such as Yahoo, such as MSN. One flip of the switch in any of those, some people are devastated in some cases. But, again, let's look at the other side of it, the smart people. The smart people are the people that are going to adapt to, okay, Google doesn't like this. Well, what about this? Okay. Well, what about this? Okay. Well, what about this? And, you keep trying, you keep testing, and you change your opinion based upon the information given to you at that particular point in time. And that is really what, as a result, this modification, this morphing process of all the problems that have existed previously on the Internet, all of a sudden, Michael and Sylvie have seen it from, in some cases, an inside standpoint, in some cases from an outside standpoint, and know what happened. They know what happened. They saw an opportunity with it. They tested it, tweaked it, modified it, released it, and found out that not only are they getting results, but the people that they're teaching this concept to are getting results too. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but you've only taught this to a select group of people up until this point.
Exactly.
Just very, very few people that were at one previous seminar a few months ago, not even a few months ago, last month. Mm-hmm. And they're already starting to use the system. The system works. They've had great response from it. And this is the type of information that, I'm really happy when people introduce this concept at the big seminar, because it is things you need to know. Stephen Pierce, first talked about his concept of maybe people call it different things now. I think Stephen's original name that he put on this was an accelerated affiliate sales model. That's what he called it. Jonathan Mike Gazelle called it a squeeze page. Alex Mondosian calls it a shy yes page. Frank Kern, I think, calls it a flycatcher page. I call it an opt-in page because that's what it is. You can beat around the bush. It's an opt-in page. It's forcing people to opt in before they seal your sales letter. Many people start doing this. I continue this. It's literally changed the business on me. Stephen introduced it there. Many new concepts have been released at the big seminar, and that's the benefit of it because of the brilliance of the people coming there, like Michael and Sylvie and many of the other speakers, like Derek Gell, Alex Mondosian, Stephen Pierce, Rich Sheffrin, John Carlton. All these people are literally tops in their field, and there's many more that I'm missing. Joe Polish is going to be there. We recently added Joe back onto the agenda. Martin Wales is going to be there, and Dave Lacani and Stephanie Frank, and all these people are coming and they've been selected by myself for a particular reason, and the reason is because they know what they're doing in their particular industries. They have a special purpose for being at the event, and the purpose is to give you the information that you need right now. And there's a difference. Let me explain to you. I say that word very carefully, that you need to know right now. There's a difference between what you want to know, and there's a difference what you need to know. The difference is this, is that sometimes what you need to know may not be necessarily what you want. And unless it's almost forced on you in a particular way, you may not ever want to know this information. But I can tell you this, based upon the market, which in this particular industry, the internet marketing, I happen to know pretty well by our customers and other people that I know, my association with many people like Michael and Sylvie and John Reese and Alex and Stephen and all the other speakers at the event. All these people, as we share information with each other, we tend to find out and know what the market is thinking, know what the market is ticking. And the information that's going to be shown there at the big seminar is the culmination of this effort, meaning that I know what these people are talking about. I know what they're focusing on right now. For example, many times in the past, Michael has come to the big seminar and he's talked about A, copywriting, B, he's talked about testing as well too. And then this time he's talking with Sylvie at the big seminar is a completely different concept, a concept that can really, really, really get you to the next level and to where you need to be. It comes down to this time, as we're getting near to the big seminar, it comes down to a few different things. First of all, if you're listening to this call right now, you're thinking, A, should I be there? B, why should I be there? And C, can I afford to be there? The reason why you should be there, I hope if you've listened to any of these calls up to this point especially, that you can see the reasons why you should be there, because the content, just to give it on these calls, and if you listen to what the concepts are, I learn a lot of information on these calls. I take notes during these calls. I find out all these different strategies on these calls, and I implement them into my business. So it could be something very minor. We had a great call with Rich Sheffrin last week that happened to be on strategizing for your business. I took a lot of notes on that particular call because of what I need to do in my business, and he made a lot of sense to me in that. We talked with Alex, and as many of you know, Alex is just a brilliant marketer. And again, I took a few notes on that call because he said certain things a different way, even though I talk to him quite frequently, and he is a business partner of mine. He did say things a certain way that made me take notes. Same thing with all the other people that we've talked to so far. The content that's going to be shared at the big seminar is a privileged content, is an elite type of content, is content that no matter where you are in your business, if you're a new person, you need to know this information. If you're an experienced person, you have to know this information. And anybody in between, obviously, is going to apply to you. So the content's going to be there. Do you need to be there? The answer is absolutely yes. That's no questions. That's a kind of a crazy question to begin with. The third part of it is, can you afford to be there? And the answer is yes, you can't afford not to be there because of the fact that one delay, let me ask you a question, and the question is this, is that if you think about who invented the telephone second, who knows? Who cares, right? It doesn't matter because if you know it, you know some trivial history that probably no one else, very few people in the world know. Who came in second in the Olympics? Who came in second in anything? No one remembers this. No one remembers those things. And the reason why is because the people that took that little bit of effort, that little bit of oomph to get them over the finish line first are the ones that people always remember. Well, in business, it's very, very similar. You can work just as hard as the next person, but all it takes is one particular piece of information to make it work. For example, I'm going to go through a gross exaggeration here, but let me explain to you something. Okay, you have two people. They're in a contest. The contest is just to put light into a room. So they're giving a couple pieces of information. First of all, they're each given a lamp. B, they're given a light bulb, and then they're giving a lamp and they're given a light bulb. Okay, so they go into the room. Both of them go to work. They screw the light bulb, obviously, into the lamp, except one person finishes first and the other person just never finished. Why did that happen? Well, the first person had one little bit of information that the second person had. The last person that plugged in that lamp knew the last step of the process. The last step was to simply turn the lamp on. You see what I mean? Is that in order to get the results, you have to flip the switch. You have to know the required pieces of information. Many people, Napoleon Hill called this specific information, specific knowledge. You need specific knowledge. And when it comes to marketing on the Internet, you can't buy it from a book. You can't necessarily read it or learn it from a book, because a book, by the time it's published, especially a physical book, it's outdated. It's outdated, especially when it comes to marketing on the Internet. That's why this is done as a live event. That's why this is done face-to-face, where people come into a room and we immerse them in for 3 days. And a lot of that reasoning for and why the system works so well in a live event for a seminar, especially for the Internet marketing industry, is the fact that you cannot avoid it, meaning that you are immersed for 3 full days with the people that can make a difference in your life. You are forced to think about nothing else except for your business, and you're forced to think creatively as a result of talking to all the other people there, and you're forced everywhere you turn to think those same thoughts. And all of a sudden, the first day, you start to see it happen. The second day, you start to see it happen. The third day, you don't want to leave it because now you've grown accustomed to this feeling, and then you take that feeling home with you and you start applying it, you start implementing, you start taking action as far as what your business can do, and therefore you have results like people from the big seminar that have within 3, 4, 5 months produced incomes of over 6 figures in just a few months after the event. Why? Because they did 2 things. A, they listened. B, they took notes. C, they implemented the ideas and the strategies that were actually taught at that particular event. So you need to be there for several reasons. Now, the key is this. In order to be there, you do need to do one thing. You need that one missing ingredient, and that is to take action. You need to take action immediately in order to register your seat. The more you procrastinate, the less you will get done, obviously. But you need to take action. You need to go to the website, and here's the website address. It's bigseminar.com/index, capital L, capital A, .html. bigseminar.com/index, LA.html. The L and the A are capital. Go to that website. Read the website. Some of you are looking at the website for the pretty pictures and the pretty videos, and that's great, and that's fine. I'm glad. But read the content. Read what is said on that page. And, yes, I do want you to look at the videos. Why? Because those videos are of real people just like yourself. They're just like you that have came to the seminar. That question was posed to them. What did you think? This is a very open-ended question. It could be very dangerous. The question was, what did you think about the big seminar? And that is their response. Those are not my words. They did not rehearse. We put them on a line in front of a screen and said, go. And that's the first thing that came to their mind. And that's what they said. There's no greater testimonial than that. They're leaving the event. This is how happy they are in leaving the event, and this is the testimonial that they gave. Listen to them. Look, there's people just like you. There's people from all walks of life, from the very young person to the older person, to the people that are very new on the Internet, to the people that are extremely experienced on the Internet. There's all types of people there that are just like you that have, the only difference is they took action. And that's the step that you need to take. You need to take action right now, and you need to go to the website, fill out the website address, and then go ahead and register your seat for the seminar. Register your hotel room tonight before you go to bed. It's extremely important. And if anything, if you need to wait a day, I'm telling you shouldn't, because I know how fast the seminar is filling up right now. But I can tell you this, if you do not register by Monday, you are nuts, because on Monday I am going to make an announcement that's going to knock your socks off. That means that everyone, if you're already registered, you're automatically qualified. You receive everything I'm going to talk about on Monday. Also, if you don't register, I'm going to give you one chance, and that's to register by Monday, because on Monday what we are going to do is something amazing. It's never been done before in the seminar business, and it's never been done before in this particular industry. You're going to see something. You're going to see a just amazing thing happen. You're just going to have to wait, and you're going to have to see it. But I can tell you this, you do not want to miss this just because you didn't register your seat, that you were going to plan on coming anyway. So go ahead and register your seat tonight. Michael, Sylvie, thank you very much for being on the call.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
And I called the Reverend, and they're going to be there at the seminar on Saturday evening. And we want to make sure, you proposed, at the other seminar, so I figured this time you get married, and at least put it off till April.
How can we top it?
And April, April 7th, our next event. April 7th in Atlanta, Georgia, at our next event. Actually, that's my anniversary date. You know that.
Oh, wow.
Actually, this shows you my wife must really love me to allow me to do the seminar on our anniversary. But she said, said, don't make it a marketing event. I said, come on. I said, we get cash and prizes. but she won't let me do that. So, but aside from that, thank you very much for being on the call. And again, the system you guys created is just fantastic. We haven't had a chance to talk about that, but I really do think it's a fantastic system. And I know when people start implementing this, as a result of being at the seminar, they're gonna see some amazing things happen to their business. So again, I think you guys are on a definitely shift in the marketplace, and I'm glad you guys did it.
Well, thank you.
So again, everyone on this call, register your seat tonight. Go to the website, register. I look forward to seeing you at the big seminar. It's going to be an amazing event. We've got the best in the world coming, and the most importantly is they're there for only one reason. They're there just to teach you for 3 days. For 3 days, total internet marketing immersion, and that is the key to this particular business, and that is the key to doing is once you immerse yourself into this business, into this concept, into this thinking process. A lot of people I know, they ask, how I don't know how Michael Fortin, writes copy so well and stuff like that. It's because he's immersed himself in copy, so much that, he can't help but think about copy in many cases. That's why he can think of this stuff. And he doesn't, I don't care how long it takes, you have to immerse yourself into the whole feeling of it. It's like thinking of product ideas. You have to immerse yourself into the concept, into the framework of everything. And when you're thinking about your business and taking your business online and moving it to the next level, and you're limited by the knowledge that you have, then you need to get the knowledge in order to take yourself to the next level. And the way that you can do that, the fastest way, the best way to do that is at a live event. And so we look forward to seeing you there. I know it's going to be a great event. I look forward to meeting you, and we're going to have a great time. So everyone have a great night, and we'll talk to everyone on Monday. Register by Monday. I'm telling you, I'm warning you now. So everyone have a great night. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Folks, I'd like to welcome everyone to the conference call tonight. My name is Armin Morin, and you are on the Big Seminar Preview Series. And just like our other preview series, we're going to be talking with one of our experts that are going to be with us at the Big Seminar in Orlando on March 19th, 20th, and 21st in Orlando, Florida. And we're going to have a tremendous event. There's many things happening. Basically, it's this. We're going to gather the top marketers on the Internet today, essentially put a gun to their head, force them to tell you what you need to know in order to succeed today on the Internet. You see, the Internet changes. Some people have asked me the question, Armin, you've done this is your third big seminar, and every seminar that you had prior to this was sold out, but why would you want to do it every 6 months? I can tell you why. The reason is because every time we do it, there's new information, new techniques, because nothing stands still on the Internet. It's in constant motion, and you need to stay up to date. And every 6 months is an appropriate time to regather, get more information, recharge your batteries, and find out the latest techniques. And I can tell you this, I know every single one of these people on a personal basis, not one of them ever stops testing. They don't stop trying something new, and all their marketing always changes. And it's just amazing once you put all these people in a room and get them to start talking about marketing as far as what they're doing, how they're doing it, and the way that they're profiting from it, and how they can show you how to profit from it as well, too. This time at the Big Seminar in Orlando, I'm actually making a twist on it. And what I'm doing is I am going to go ahead and give away a brand new 2004 Mustang convertible to one person that's actually at the seminar. The Mustang's going to be sitting there. It's going to be right next to the stage. We're going to show everyone the car, and then if your name is drawn, we're going to get that Mustang delivered directly to your home. Imagine not opening the door and having a Mustang sitting there, someone handing you the keys, and using that car for as long as you want. It's up to you. It's great. And so we're going to have a fantastic time. We've got some great networking events planned. And I've got a major announcement I'm going to make later on about an additional speaker that we're going to have at the seminar. And if I have time, I'm going to do that. But tonight's call is all about copywriting, and there's no other person that I know better than to talk about copywriting with than Michael Fortin. Many of you may know Michael. He actually has a website called The Success Doctor. It's successdoctor.com, and if you go to Michael's website, I go there all the time. I read his copy. I read every bit of copy that I can get from Michael, because the one thing I know about Michael's copy is that it works. It works. It gets results. It creates sales. And, and in my opinion, I'm going to say this on this call, is that I believe that Michael Fortin is the best copywriter on the Internet today. So, Michael, I'd like to welcome you to the call today.
Thanks, Armin. It's a great pleasure to be on the call.
Well, Michael, what I like to do is this: I like to just kind of ease into what we're going to talk about. But I think it's really important for people to know is where you came from and how you got to where you were today. So let's talk about that a little bit. And what was your background? What was your history? And what was your occupation prior to the Internet?
I usually tell this little story, and I don't mean to say this in a way to boast or to sound that I'm, to have some kind of pity story put on people. But I tell this story because there's an actual marketing lesson in it, and it's this. When I was born with a certain deformity that has caused my perfectionist father, quote unquote, to abuse me. And as I grew up with these tremendous psychological difficulties. My father later resorted to alcoholism and so on and so forth. But the long and short of it is this, is that over time I was told that I was never going to amount to much. I was told that I was going to be a failure, that I am a failure, that I always will fail, etc. And I've grown to have these tremendous psychological this difficulty that I had, which is the fear of rejection. I feared rejection so much. I loathed it. And one day I decided that I'm going to fight this fear. And one way that I thought would be the best way to do it is to jump into sales. What better way is there to fight the fear of to fight the fear of rejection than the world of selling, because you get rejected all the time. And naturally, I was not an overnight success, of course. I even declared bankruptcy at a very young age because I was making loans upon loans to pay just the rent. But here's what happened. Over a period of time, I started to engulf myself into books on selling and on persuasion and on influence. And one book that actually not only inspired me but changed my entire life was a book written by Dan Kennedy called No BS Sales Success. And Dan Kennedy, a copywriter as well, talks about positioning rather than prospecting. So here's what I've done. I started to follow some of the rules that he was teaching. I started to position myself. I started to write copy in ways that would create, for example, free reports or lead generation ads or devices that would cause prospects to seek me out, to come to me rather than me to them. And the wonderful thing is that when people came to me, I knew right in advance that they were qualified for what I was trying to offer them. And I said to myself that this has got to be it, because then I started to become more and more successful until I became the top salesperson in a Fortune 500 company here in Canada. And so that's where I got my start. Now, the reason why I usually teach a story, and the marketing lesson that I want people to pull from that, is that if you think you can't write copy, if you think you can't sell, because really copywriting comes down to something that's far more important. It's all about selling. You can sell face-to-face, you can sell on the telephone, or you can sell in print. It doesn't matter. It's all about selling. And if you think you can't, trust me, you can, because you're not born a salesperson. It's a learned skill. You become one. You become it. And so over time, I decided to, more and more of my employers, at that time I had jobs, but more and more employers were hiring me to write their copy. They were hiring me to train their salespeople, and then I became a freelance, marketing consultant. In those days, I called myself a marketing consultant, but copywriting was really the crux of my entire portfolio, and I became more and more known as a copywriter. I think also one thing that I want to stress, a lot of people call me and say, Mike, how did you become a great copywriter? I really don't want to consider myself a great copywriter. And this is something that I stress so much because it's important to understand the difference between a great copywriter and a copywriter who loves to test, tweak, and track. And here's what I mean. I was a privileged copywriter. I was privileged to have written copy for some fanatical testers out there. Armin, you and I both know them. There's a lot of people out there, some of the top marketers, some of the millionaires out there who have hired me to write copy and who love to test stuff. Yeah, some stuff didn't work. Some stuff blew me away. And I walked away with all this knowledge, and that's why I am what I am today.
That's incredible. I mean, so what happened was this. I mean, you didn't have. At first, you didn't have the greatest You didn't have the background that many people would think that you'd have to have in order to succeed.
Absolutely not. No, absolutely not.
I mean,
and
you didn't have.
I think it was that was a springboard. You know, a lot of people may look at it another way. They say maybe I was privileged to have that kind of a background because it pushed me to have become what I've become today. But I say that whether you have that kind of background or not doesn't matter. You can learn the skill, and you can write your own copy, and you can write copy that's going to sell and sell and sell.
And that's, and I think, people, I think there's many people on the internet today, they're confused, especially when it comes to copy.
Oh, yeah.
And what I see the most, what I see the most is that they're just not sure about copy. I mean, what is the proper protocol? What works and what doesn't work? And there is the age-old question. I know you and I have had this discussion many times: is long copy versus short copy.
That debate has been around since the beginning of time, and I think that there's no better person to have answered that than Paul Myers. Paul Myers said it this way. He said that you need to be as long as enough to make the sale and not one word more. You need to tell the people your whole story and not one word more, meaning you need to tell them enough so that they buy. And the thing is that people, when they are really interested in buying a product from you, if they're really interested, they are targeted. They are a match for your message, as Dan Kennedy would say. They will want more information from it, not less. And here's an analogy that I like to use. If you are a Stephen King fanatic, you are a person who reads all of these, Stephen King novels, and then Stephen King puts out his latest novel, which is about 800 pages thick. Now, are you not going to read it because it's too thick? Of course not. You are a Stephen King fanatic. You're going to read it from cover to cover. In fact, you'll probably read it in one single sitting. In fact, when you close the book, you would have wished that it was either longer or you'll reread it again. And many of the Stephen King fanatics out there that I know do that. And the point in that is this. If you are selling to a rabid audience, if you're selling a product to an audience who are genuinely interested in your offer, they absolutely want your product, not just need it, because there's a difference between need and want, and I'll discuss that at the big seminar in Orlando. But if they really want your product, you're going to give them as much information as you can until it is possible for you to make that sale. And that's really the key, because there is long copy, but a lot of people also make a long copy for the sake of being long, which is not good. I'm not saying that you should be extremely long. I'm saying that you need to give them as much information as you need in order for them to make a decision.
Now, talking about, the long copy aspect, I mean, would you say, and would you agree with the statement that your copy almost let your prospect qualify themselves to read the rest of it?
Dan Kennedy was recently interviewed, and I used this piece in some of the articles that I've written because it's really fantastic, a piece of advice. He says that there are enough empirical studies and double-blind tests out there that prove, without a shadow of doubt, that people or the readership for example, of a sales letter or even a website will fall dramatically in the first few hundred words. But then it stops falling until almost the very end of the copy. And the theory or the deduction you can make from that is this, is that the people who start reading the copy who fall off from the beginning, they were never interested. They're not going to buy from you whether you give them 50 words or 5,000 words. It doesn't matter. They're not interested. They're not qualified. But those people that stay until the very end, those are the people you want. And those are the people who will want to have more information.
And I think that's the key. See, I think so many times what's confusing people on the net, in my opinion, is that people are thinking that everyone's going to want to read this whole thing.
Oh, that's the most common objection is, oh, they're not going to read it. They're not going to read it. You know what? There are usability studies that just came out that I've gotten some really neat research from that prove that people favor more content on less pages rather than less content on more pages. In other words, they prefer long scrolling web pages rather than short web pages with a lot of links. Now, there's two important things to point out in this. Number one, the study said that what people say and what people do are two entirely separate things.
Definitely.
And people will probably say that, oh, it's too long. You know what? Gary Halbert said it the best, that there's no such thing as copy that's too long. If it's too long, it's not because of the length, it's because it bored you. Now, the second thing you can pull from that is, whenever you have multiple links in your website, let's say you have a website with multiple pages. If you're selling multiple products, if you're a catalog type site, if you're a Walmart, for example, that's perfectly fine. If it's a portal, that's perfectly fine as well. If you are selling one product or one product line, or you're getting the prospect to do one specific action, your best bet would be to use it to make your offer, to make your statement, to make your story on one page only. Here's the reason why. Think about it as this. A long copy sales letter, whether it's in direct mail, but especially if it's online, is the same thing as if you were making a face-to-face, belly-to-belly sales presentation. If I'm in front of you, Armin, and I'm making a pitch, I'm not going to go into the middle of my pitch into a tangent to show you some other kinds of information that may be probably relevant to the process, but it's completely deviating from my pitch and the momentum that I'm trying to build. And that's the point. You see, in sales, psychologists have a notion called cognitive dissonance. And really what that means is that when people buy a product, they usually, if they're not properly sold, quote unquote, they'll get buyer's remorse or have second thoughts. I like to use that in copy too, because you see, if you deviate from even if you don't have multiple pages, let's say you have stuff in your long copy sales letter that deviates from the pitch, that has information that is not relevant to the pitch. What's going to happen is people are going to start to think.
Right.
Another great copywriter, Peter Stone, said it best, is that the job of great copywriting is to momentarily suspend critical thinking. And that's true because, you see, if people have to think, thinking is a good thing. The problem is if you leave your copy at the whim of your reader, you're going to force them to think not only of all the good stuff, but also of all the bad stuff, and sometimes of stuff that is not true or totally unnecessary or irrelevant to the actual pitch. And what happens if they think of anything that's negative, it's going to lead to the biggest killer sales, procrastination. So in essence, what you want to do is do the thinking for them. I have people coming up to me and objecting not only to long copy, but they object to the fact that I'm describing, for example, the benefits of a product. I'm making a benefit too intimate or too personal. They prefer the highfalutin corporate speak, the third person type of copy. The problem with that is that now you're dissociating yourself from your reader. And the most important thing you can do in the world, which is whether you're selling face-to-face or you're writing a copy, a long sales letter copy, is you have to think for your reader, and you have to spell it out in your copy so that they would think that. They will lead to the natural and the positive and the good stuff that you will want them to focus on to make that decision, which is to buy. If you let them think, if you give them any kind of momentary distraction, which is what a link causes. If you have a website that has multiple pages, you have one page to an FAQ, another page which is, testimonials, and another page to, some product screenshots or whatever. The problem with that is that when they go to these other pages, then they're lost. They don't come back to the pitch. And if they do come back to the pitch, they're now at the beginning, at the top of your sales letter again, and now they have to reread to go back to where they were before. And even if they find themselves where the copy was when they left, they don't have the emotional buildup that they've had to that point before they left. And I mean, this is one of the biggest errors I see when I critique copy, is that people put a whole bunch of external links on their copy. Bad, bad, bad. The one thing you want people to do is to stick their nose in your copy and to leave it glued there until they buy. And if you, for example, offer testimonials, a lot of people, put links in testimonials because they want to show, quote unquote, that it's coming from a real life person. The intention is good. The problem is they click on the link, they go to this other site to see this other side of this person who gave you a testimonial, and they may offer something. People are extremely desensitized to sales messages these days. They're also very preoccupied. There's 10 million things going on in their mind. On the web, that's 100 times more important, because they might have, for example, a gazillion browsers opened up. They might be checking their email. They might be playing some kind of video game. The thing is, they're multitasking like crazy. So if you get them to be distracted, even for a fleeting moment, you're going to have to rebuild the momentum that you've had worked so hard with your copy to build to that point, which is probably going to be impossible at this point. And the result, you've just lost the sale.
So what happens is that if the flow of your copy has anything to break it, all of a sudden chances are you'll probably lose that person.
They're going to start thinking, and then they're going to think of all the reasons why they shouldn't buy, and and that's what leads to procrastination, is the thinking process. It's critical thinking. I think I should really, qualify that, because thinking itself is not bad. It's critical thinking.
Now, kind of to back up some of the things that you said, there's a newsletter out there. I'm sure you're probably on it. It's Grokster.
No, I don't. I'm not, no.
Oh, well, here's a new one for you. There's a newsletter called Grokster, and there's these two people that they do an awful lot of copy critiques, and they do an awful lot of testing. In fact, Brian Eisenberg is one of the...
Oh, yeah, yes. Okay. I know you're talking about the Grok.
Yeah, Grok.
Okay.
You can call it Grokster. We say it Grokster. We say it Grokster down here.
I pardon my Canadian.
Well, one of the things, and I'm sure you read this, is that they did a test on. They actually showed a chart as far as the amount of people when they dropped off clicking on the number of links. Mm-hmm. Now, what I found interesting is that 86% of them dropped off after the second link.
Yes, exactly, precisely, yes.
Now, the people that are talking about, well, if you just had shorter copy and you had, shorter pages, and we could go on through that way, it'd be a whole lot easier to palate. Well, obviously, the studies, and when you start really testing what your people are doing on your page, you'll know it. Now, one of the other things that you mentioned, which is really good, because, a lot of people do have those links to other people's sites in their testimonials, but, just like you said, disable them.
Oh, absolutely.
You can still prove that you can have their website name there, but you just disable them. Don't make them a live link and make the copy flow down through. So essentially what you're telling us, Michael, is that anything that we do to distract the person from reading our copy is going to hurt us many, many times over.
Absolutely. I believe, like I said, the intention behind putting a link in a testimonial is important. I'm a big believer in providing proof. But there are other ways that you can provide proof, like, for example, using audio testimonials from audiogenerator.com, or using pictures. Now, we found that putting a picture of the person giving the testimonial can increase your response by as much as 86% or 87%, sorry. And things like that, because they're actually showing that they come from real people rather than actually having a link that they would click and then fall away.
And it's definitely more important. And just like on our big seminar site, we're using video.
Exactly, yeah. That's probably one of the top models to follow on audio testimonials.
And except the tough part is honestly, video, in my opinion, video isn't ready necessarily on the Internet. We're still a couple months away. But it's going to be getting there, and there's some ways that you can do it to make it ready. But it's another topic that we'll talk about with Jim Edwards next week. But now, let's talk about this, because especially a few years ago when I get online, and when you get online as well, was this, is that there was a real big deal about the graphics. You have to have the graphics on your site.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have, this beautiful website and everything. And, and I know you're under the same opinion that I am, and that is the graphics don't mean anything. It's the copy is the most important.
Oh, absolutely. There are 3 levels of copy. And, the one thing about the web that I absolutely adore is the fact that the web is a far more interactive, a far more engaging medium than any other medium in existence. And here are the 3 levels, and I'll come back to that because it sort of defines that. The first level is, of course, just words. And there was a time when the Internet first started where it was just words. I'm not sure if you remember this, Armin, because whenever I first started on the Internet, actually in those days they were called bulletin board services.
Right.
I was, with my little trusty 600 baud modem, playing a Dungeons and Dragons kind of game called Scepter of Goth. And that was when I was, 11 or 12 years old, and on my Radio Shack Color Computer 64, which is comparable to the, Commodore 64 in those days. And it was just text. Text, if you had a choice, and I say this, if you had a choice between just words and just pictures, words will always outsell the pictures. And that's why you need to focus more on the words and the words you choose, because this is critical. Because I can choose 2, 3, 4 different words to mean the same thing, but they all have completely different meanings. Tony Alessandro, a behavioral psychologist and a sales trainer, talks about the meta message. The message, and then there's the meta message. And what he means by that is the message beyond the message. What we say is a message. How we say it is a meta message. And the words we choose are so crucial because they can actually completely change our pitch or the meaning of what we are trying to convey. I want to come back to that, but let me finish off by the third element. The third element, and this is the important thing, or the benefit, I guess, of the web, is that you can incorporate both words and pictures together to make your pitch even stronger and to boost your conversion rate. If you are going to put pictures on the website, what we found is what's important are pictures that are relevant to the sale. As long as those pictures are relevant to the sales process, to the pitch, I highly suggest that you put them. I'm not saying that you should always put pictures. I'm not saying that you should only put pictures. Again, words always outpull pictures. But, the third level where you use copy and then you support that with pictures, because, of course, your job is to engage all of the senses. And the more senses you engage, and it is statistically proven that you will actually increase sales that way. So by adding pictures, maybe of your product, maybe if you're a service provider, maybe of you delivering that service, or, just pictures of the fact that they support what you're trying to sell is best. And that's just the third level.
Well, there's an example. Here's a real good example of it. On the Big Seminar site, I emailed you and I said, well, what do you think of the site? And sat back and waited with my fingers crossed. And you gave me some, 3 or 4 things that I took, and I didn't even question them. I just did them, and I put them on the site. And one of those things was, you said, you need to put some action pictures.
Yes.
Of, since we had pictures of the previous seminar, you need to put some action pictures. So I put up a picture of, one was me on stage with the background view of the audience. I had another picture of the whole audience, and I had another picture of me handing Alex a check.
Yes.
And I put those right underneath, right at the top of the page. And now, and there were some other changes we added. Since then, we also added a calendar on there of
yes.
a schedule, I should say, a schedule of when the people are going to be, speaking and their topics and things of that nature, and 1 or 2 other minor things. Now, those changes that we made brought us up to a 1% conversion. Now, some people may say 1%, that's not very good. Well, it is on a $1,497 product. I'm really happy with that right now.
Oh, I think this is something that I need to stress because we talk about. I want to talk at the big seminar about a whole bunch of stuff that you can do to boost the conversion rate of your sales letter. But here on this preview call, let me just stress a few of the things that people fail to do that I think that people are missing out on. And if they don't do these things, or if they're doing these errors or making these errors, they are probably leaving money on the table. And one of those is exactly what you just said. I call it the 3 T's: tweak, test, and track.
Right.
Tweak, test the tweak, and then track the result. Now, 1% is just 1%, but it's still 1%. It's better than 0.
Right.
And then you do something else, and then there's another 1%, and you do another. No, the thing is that you can actually boost your conversion by tweaking and testing and then tracking on a continuous basis. And like I said, it's not necessarily everything to do with copy. There's tons of things that I'm going to be revealing at the big seminar, tiny little tests that we've conducted. I'll just reveal a few of them. Did you know that putting a picture, okay, we were talking about words and pictures not too long ago. If you put a picture on the right-hand side, in our tests, we found that it increased response by 26% rather than the left.
Michael, you're causing me a lot of work tonight. because I know the way I do on my sites, and every single time, and I'm sure most of the people on this call are always doing it on the left-hand side of the page too.
Oh, absolutely, because people think that we read from the left to the right, and that's true, and that's the point. We read from the left to the right, but when we scan and skim and scroll, we do it from right to left. And that's where if you want people to stop scanning, skimming, and scrolling and start reading, what you want to do is put the pictures, the things that will cause them to stop them in their tracks when they're scanning your copy, on the right-hand side, and then they start reading from the left. And of course, this is just theory, because a lot of this stuff, I don't know why it is. There's a quote from Jim Rohn that's hanging on top of my wall, and it says this: "There are some things you don't have to know how it works. The main thing is that it works. While some people are studying the roots, others are picking the fruit. It just depends on which end you want to be on." And that's true, because I don't really care so much as to why. I'd love to find out, because sometimes by discovering why, it helps you to understand and then repeat it. But the best thing is that it's working. If you are already, and I'm speaking to the callers tonight, if you already have a website, try it. Put your pictures on the right rather than the left, and track it. And one thing, though, I have to really stress this, is that if you're going to test anything and tweak anything, try to do it just one at a time. Because a lot of people, sometimes they change a whole bunch of things, and either there's no change or there's a lot of change, and then when they repeat it, then they don't know what actually helped them to improve their conversion rate, and then it goes back down.
Well, also, one of the things I think that's important for people before they even start their testing or start their tweaking is to find out what their numbers are prior, so they have a control to do the testing against.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's sort of it's a given, because you want to have a baseline against which you can see what kind of improvement you're having, of course.
Now, the biggest mistakes that people are making.
Okay. There are 6 of them. I think I've covered a few of them.
You covered 3 of them already.
Well, here are the 6, and I won't go back into detail on the 3 that I've already mentioned, but here they are. The one thing that I always tell people is this: all great copywriters are great salespeople. It's the one common skill that you'll find in all great copywriters. And I underline the word great, because by great I mean not a person who can write well. I'm saying a person who can sell. And there's a difference. Now, there is an even greater commonality between copywriters and salespeople. And it's this: all great copywriters and all great salespeople are all great storytellers. If you can listen to a person telling you a story, whether it's face-to-face or if you're reading a good book like a Stephen King novel, and you just can't put the book down, or you're just, you're riveted onto every single word the person is telling you, if that person is face to face with you, that person is influencing you. That person is persuading you. That person is getting you to do the most important thing to begin with, is to keep you interested. And that's the one thing that I think people have failed to understand, is that your copy is sort of like a mini story. You have to, when you make your pitch, try to think of it as a story. You can actually take any kind of copy and chop it down into 3 equal parts. There's the top part, the middle part, and the bottom part. And in a book situation or in a story situation, there's the intro, the body, and the conclusion. Well, in copy, I call it the 3 Ps: pull, prove, push. Pull them in, prove your case, push them to act. And that's the thing that I think I see a lot of people not doing, is that they either fail to pull people in, meaning they don't have a good headline, or they don't have any good grabbers or devices in their copy, which I will actually give you a whole bunch. I'll list them out at the big seminar in Orlando. But devices that actually can stop people dead in their tracks and start reading. And then prove your case, which is to make your case, to tell your story, to tell them why they should buy your product and why should they buy it now, why should they believe you. And then, of course, push them to act, which is to ask for the order. And that's another big problem. It's not problem number 2, is that so many offers that I see fail to ask people for the order. People they fear rejection in face-to-face selling. Well, it's the same thing in copy. I see so many sales letters that just people are. You can sense the writer, when he wrote the copy, was afraid to ask for the order because they're afraid to be too aggressive, or it doesn't matter. You have to ask for the order. Here's another problem, and I think that's sort of part of that, is that people make it hard to order. You don't believe, I probably would say that you would agree with me, Armin, because you've probably seen this many, many times. How many times have you visited a site where you can't find any links? Because either the links are not underlined, because they're not, people try to be, we talked about adding beautiful graphics and adding all that wonderful, beautiful stuff that makes a website so entertaining and fun and fuzzy, but they're not going to be the ones that are going to make sales. A link is a link is a link. Vic Flanders, the guy behind webpages.suck.com, he calls it mystery meat navigation, where people remove the underlines from links. Don't do that. Leave those underlines there. And the thing is, and a lot of people put different colors for links. The thing is, you want to make it as easy as possible. When people are ready to order, you don't want them to stop and ask, okay, so where do I order this sucker? Where do I go from now? I mean, that's the greatest killer of sales, online sales. Another, and I've already mentioned it, was the distractions, to remove all distractions and to try to avoid the cognitive dissonance. Another would be that they focus too much on their product or on themselves or on their company or on their business, etc. The thing is that when we write copy, sometimes it's hard to do that, and that's why a lot of people hire me to write copy, is because they're too married to their product, they're too married to their businesses, and they can't see their product from the perspective of their prospects. And that's why it's so crucial when you write copy that you sort of have to have a mini divorce, so to speak, because you want to read it. You want to write your copy so that it's read as if it was read by somebody completely outside of your business and reading your copy for the first time. And then I think probably the last one that I would say out of all that, because there's 6, is they fail to understand the difference between a feature and a benefit. I think that's probably one of the biggest ones, because sometimes I see people putting features and then maybe putting down what they think are benefits, which are just embellished features, or I call them advantages. And there's a big difference between a feature and a true benefit. Not a benefit in the sense that you would probably think. And I'm going to actually discuss the actual steps that I take, how I extract benefits from features. And there's a simple process that I follow that I will reveal at the big seminar. But that's another problem that I see often.
I think one of the things that you mentioned is about being too pushy, too aggressive and they don't want to ask for the order. And that's, it's really funny because that's a common problem among actual salespeople as well too.
Oh yeah.
And when I was in direct sales, and as many people know, I sold vacuum cleaners for about 5 years. One of the things that the way that I learned how to close, how I learned how to ask for the order was I had a person sitting there at the table with me, and when I didn't say what I was supposed to say, they kicked me underneath the table, and they continued to kick me every time I was supposed to say what I was supposed to say. So it was like this Pavlov type experiment that he was doing with me. Either I was going to say it or he was going to kick me. And so, so I got over the part about asking for it. But just the other day, I received an email, and I had sent out an email the night before, and the email said something like this: drop whatever you're doing right now, and then click this link below and register for blah, blah, blah. And, nothing major, but I had someone email me back, well, just one person, but I thought it was interesting, and they said, well, that sounds really pushy. She goes, I don't know, I think you might be turning off some of the people. She goes, I registered, and I did drop everything, but, it just sounded like it was a little over the top. But now, she's telling me this, but what did she do? She did exactly what I wanted her to do.
Right.
And it was really funny. It was really funny, but people are scared. One of the things, and I'm sure you've seen this, is that people have this great copy, and all the way down, and then at the end, they wimp out.
Yes, absolutely, exactly, precisely.
And it's just like all of a sudden they're like, oh, I don't want to ask them to buy. I mean, what if they say no? Who cares if they say no? Just ask them to buy. And one of the concepts that I have, and you may agree with this, is that I believe a sales letter should work like music, and it should have a crescendo at the end to the sale.
Absolutely, exactly. Well, this is what I meant by the 3 Ps. If you if you write your copy and you fail to ask for the order, imagine all the effort, not that you put into the copy. Forget about you here. Imagine all the effort. And that may be more of a subconscious effort, but all the effort that the prospect has put into reading your letter. It's like watching, you're talking crescendo. Here, watching a good movie, and all of a sudden, right in the middle of the movie where the climax is, the projector at the theater starts to eat up the film. How do you feel?
Right.
That's exactly what's happening here, because you might talk about this great offer, and then all of a sudden you wimp out. You're going to make it really hard. There's so many people that have asked me, for example, to critique their copy, and I ask them, how do you get them to order your product? Well, they have to go to this page, which they have to click from this page, which they have to click on this page, which they have to click on this page. Oh, okay, all right. There's a famous rule in our business, and I'm sure you know about it, Armin. It's called the 2-click rule, and it's so important. You know what? We found that the least amount of clicks, I was coming back to the original mention of the fact that if you put external links in your copy, well, we found that even reducing the amount of links or anything other than for them to take action, to be interactive with the actual sales process, rather than actually have to click, because people are lazy. But the idea is also this cognitive dissonance. If you actually ask for the order and even put your order form on the same page, I've seen increase in sales as much as 386%, or 382%. And the thing is this: it has nothing to do with the fact that we just put the order form there or not. It has to do with the fact that you're making everything follow a flow, a natural flow, and a natural crescendo, exactly like you just said, Armin.
And then the other thing is, when you talk about navigation, is the blue links.
Oh yeah, it's not just that. It's also the fact that you have probably, people would put words in links, but that probably don't mean anything, because you see here, this is another biggest problem. Well, it's not a big problem. It's part of the other one that I mentioned, is that they will link words that will, lead people to think, well, what is this all about? Oh, like for example, you're talking about your widget, and then you say, my widget has I don't know, let's say it has a result of 47%, and you link the result for 77% or whatever that number may be. People are thinking now, okay, if I click this, what do I get? Do I get a chart? Do I go to another website that actually made this particular research that proved this particular percentage? You're leaving them to think. Rather than doing that, you should say, click here to view a screenshot of the actual study about this particular widget's results, whatever that may be. Tell them what to do.
And I think that's important. And one of the other things about that is that people, we're used. I mean, since I've been online, what I've been accustomed to as far as identifying even what a link is blue underline and blue and underline. A blue underlined word is a link.
It's so simple. But, one of the things that people try to do in writing copy just as well is to be clever and cutesy. And they want to entertain because it's all about this fear of rejection again. It all comes back to this. If you say, well, hey, maybe I'm a bit too aggressive with my copy, so I'm going to make them feel good about me. I'm going to, make my links, kind of have all these fireworks pop up when I hover my mouse over it, or whatever. It's all about this fear of rejection. Don't do that. Be simple. Ask for the order, and make sure that you're really straightforward about it. Meaning, don't hide your links.
And that's the thing is that people are just they're. It's not a popularity contest on the internet.
No.
and there's there's probably people on this call right now that hate me. But you know what? They read the copy, they went to the site, so ultimately they're doing, as a person that wrote copy, what I'd like them to do, which is ultimately the job. And so you're not out there to win friends, you're out there to actually make sales. And, I'm not saying make everyone mad. I'm saying that, ultimately your end objective is to get sales, get subscribers, whatever your intention is with your copy. That's what your intention is. It's not to make people feel warm and fuzzy inside. If you can do both at the same time, great. But, ultimately you want people to take action on what they're doing.
Absolutely. I can understand there's a difference between trying to look professional because you want the person to, you want to create a certain level of credibility.
Sure.
You want them to buy from you again and again and again. Your back end is your lifeblood, and you also want them to refer other people to you, probably to become an affiliate and so on and so forth. So I can understand, the need to be professional, but there's a difference between being professional and trying to look good. And a lot of people sometimes, they object to the fact that you may not necessarily look good, but you might still be professional. Here's a great example. A lot of people, when they see copy, they say, oh, it's hypey. It's too hypey.
Mm-hmm.
There's, again, the difference between a message and the meta message. It's not necessarily what they're saying. It may be all about how they say it. And you can actually change the way you're saying something and still say the same thing and probably say this, something that will make you even more profitable, but that will actually make the person walk away and feel, wow, I feel good about this purchase, or I feel good about this company, or I feel good about referring other people to this person. And here's an example. Mark McGuire, when he broke the record, the people at the on the ESPN were saying something like this, and this, I'm not saying this is true. I'm just using this as an example.
Mm-hmm.
Mark McGuire just beat the record, and now it was his next turn up the bat. So here's what he said: victorious, Mark gloriously steps up to the plate. That looks a little bit hypey because it uses adverbs and adjectives. Here's how you can change that. You can actually remove all adverbs and adjectives and say the same thing, but a lot more power and thrust. Here it is. We change that with verbs and nouns. Exuding confidence from his success, Mark bounces to the plate with a spring in his stride. So now it's much more powerful. And the beauty of the verb and noun in this case is that it paints mental imagery. It paints vivid pictures. And that's the key in writing great copy, is that if you can make the person feel that they already enjoyed the benefits of your product even before they bought it, it's like that Pavlov's dog that you just mentioned there, you will get them to want to buy your product even more and to buy your product, period. Now, there's even another step beyond that. I call it upwards. Universal picture words are relatable descriptive sentences, and this is what it means. And it's an acronym, but it means metaphors, analogies, examples, comparisons, onomatopoeias, all that stuff. I'm going into English literature here.
Right.
But here's what it means: is that you can actually choose even verbs and nouns that paint greater pictures or more vivid pictures. The mind thinks in pictures. Maxwell Maltz, when he wrote the book Psycho-Cybernetics, he said this. He said, the mind is a goal-seeking mechanism. And that's so true, because if I told you, Armin, don't think of a pink carnation, and what you're going to do, you're going to think of a pink carnation, because
exactly.
you're going to think of what you're trying to avoid before you avoid it. If I tell you instead, Armin, think of a white carnation, now, naturally, you're not going to think of a pink carnation because I gave your mind a goal. Well, that's the same thing. If I tell you, think of a garbage can, you're not going to think Garba. You're going to picture some kind of garbage can. You're going to feel the texture of the rubber of the garbage can. You're probably going to lift the garbage can in your mind and sort of sense what it is, the weight of it, and all that stuff. So you see, that's the vividness of that picture. Well, here's how we replace this Mark McGuire analogy, or the Mark McGuire example, with analogies and metaphors, and with verbs that actually paint pictures. Oozing with confidence, Mark sails to the plate with the same exuberance Hank Aaron gleamed when he blasted a home run during the '72 All-Star game in his own home park. See how much more powerful that is to the very, very first one that I said? Victorious, Mark gloriously steps up to the plate. The power of using the proper words can still convey the same message, but can convey also on top of that a meta message that can support and even enhance the message, and of course increase your conversion rate.
That's awesome. Actually, I was taking notes. The ones I wrote that down because it's so powerful what the last part of what we were just talking about there, and I'd take notes, make people feel as if they've already enjoyed the benefits of your product, because I think that's really, really key, and it's something that not too many people do, and they don't do it successfully. But Michael, I know we've spent a lot of time. We've spent the last 15 minutes here now, and we just touched on many of the different topics and a lot of the things that you're going to be talking about at the seminar. Explain to everyone what you are going to be talking about at the big seminar in Orlando.
All the things that I've talked about on this call, I will actually go into greater depth and detail and give some, this is more important, give some actual tips and pointers on how you can attack all of these little points that I just mentioned. For example, how do you define what is a good benefit? What is a benefit in the first place? And you'll be surprised and probably shocked at what I'm going to say at the seminar. I'm going to discuss how to flow the structure of your pitch. There's a proper flow, and this is important because you can write good copy, but good copy that sells. You're talking of a crescendo. Well, you know what? It's actually a whole bunch of mini crescendos. There's an acronym that I use for that called QUEST. Now, I'm not going to say what it is. I'm going to leave it like this. And if you want to find out what QUEST stands for, just come to the big seminar in Orlando, because really that's what it is. It's like little mini, hills during the process where you're just sailing until you actually buy. And it's, of course, an upward movement. I'm actually going to describe some specific strategies that we have tested. And some of the stuff is, there's some stuff that will have minimal, but still some good improvements, but minimal improvements, and other stuff that can actually multiply exponentially your conversion rate. And some of the stuff, Armin, I've never revealed before that I'll be revealing at the Orlando Big Seminar. And finally, maybe a bit more of a sort of a continuation of what I said earlier, is that I've talked about all of the things that I see people failing to do, or all the errors that people are committing. What can you do to work against that? What can you do to make it work in your favor? What are the right things to do? What are the things that you should do? And it's okay to understand what you should avoid, but there are also things that you can actually do that is even better than that. And I'm going to be revealing a very simple 11-step process on how you can write a sales letter that's going to burst your bank account at the seams.
It's very descriptive. Good copywriting right there. Burst your bank account at the seams. Well, Michael, thank you. Thank you for being with us.
Well, thank you.
And folks, the big seminar is coming up, as many of you know, on March 19th, 20th, and 21st in Orlando. And, there's many reasons to come to the big seminar, and I'm just going to give you a couple of them because what I want to do is talk about this real quick, is that, on our site, if you've been to our site, you see that I'm a pretty big fan of Napoleon Hill, and Napoleon Hill said this. He said that there's 16 points in this book, 16 chapters, 13 different principles in Think and Grow Rich. And what I want to just talk to you about one particular, actually two particular ones. One is specialized knowledge. To succeed in anything, you have to have specialized knowledge. Meaning, if you want to become successful as a doctor, you need to know about medicine, you need to know about health, and it's all very specialized in the medical field. If you want to succeed on the Internet, though, you need to learn the techniques, the tactics, the strategies, the copywriting, how to create products that are specialized and specific to the Internet. And that's what you have to have in order to succeed. So if you know that, what better place to do it than get it all condensed in a matter of 3 days? Instead of spending 3, maybe 4 years trying to do it on your own, many of the people that are going to be there have already done the work for you. These people are already at the top of their individual fields, and each person at the big seminar was chosen specifically by me for their expertise in their given field. These are the best of the best in their particular industries. We have Alex Mondosian, as many of you know, it's going to be there. Alex is going to talk about a brand new strategy that he's working on now regarding campaigns and how to find out what people want, how to give them what they want and let them tell you in their own words. We're going to go through just a whole new information because he has many case studies that he's working on a daily basis, and he's going to show that to you at the big seminar. Yannick Silver is going to talk about public domain riches and strategies. This information here is just amazing. I mean, I'm working on 2 public domain books right now as we speak because it's just so easy once you know how to do it. And it's so simple. But if you don't know how to do it, Yannick's going to explain how to do it because there's a lot of tricks to that particular aspect. Jimmy Brown's going to be talking about just a whole different strategy that he's normally talked about before. In fact, what Jimmy's going to do is tell you about his ultimate free advertising system, basically how to increase your list, how to increase your orders, your traffic, your affiliate commissions automatically through free advertising. Now, that's the biggest question that I get. As many of you know, I have my affiliate center, and we ask people on a daily basis what's their biggest problem in. And advertising is the key, and everyone wants to know how to get free advertising, and Jimmy's going to talk to you about that. We also have Alexandria Brown. She's going to talk about exploding your Internet business this year with the power of e-zines. Now, the key, what I just said, is that an e-zine, see, many of you are thinking about an e-zine, and you have this mental picture in your mind. Well, the fact is that e-zines are changing right now as we speak, and they're becoming more popular than ever before. And if you don't have one, you need to get one. But more importantly, if you have an e-zine, you need to ask yourself the question, how much money are you making from your e-zine? Alexandria is going to talk to you about that and put that in a way that you're going to quickly understand it. With the new Canned Spam Act, the e-zine is more powerful than ever before. We have Jim Edwards that's going to be there. He's going to talk about his multimedia secrets, how to use audio, video, and how to create products. And Jim knows this better than anyone that I know. And I talked to Jim, and I've seen some of the things that he's working on, and because I'm very much into multimedia on the Internet and how it works and why you should be doing it. And this year is the year for multimedia for your products, your services, anything that you're doing on the Internet. This is the time to do it. Those people that take the advantage now are going to make it their business is going to explode by the end of 2004. Jonathan Mizell is going to be there. Many of you know Jonathan. He's worked for some of the biggest companies as far as consulting with them, people like Microsoft, American Express, and they've hired him because of what he knows about the Internet. And he's going to talk about, and this is what he calls it in his words, how to squeeze the sweet nectar from the fruit of the Internet. Now, Jonathan's going to be explaining to you exactly what that is, how to get more money from what you're already doing on the Internet today. And that's very, very powerful. We have Stephen Pierce, one of my good friends, is going to be there. He's going to talk about his 21 Pierce Power Plays. Now, Stephen has already been on one of our conference calls, and Stephen explained power play number 77, but he's going to talk about 21 of them that are the most powerful that he has. And I can tell you this, I looked at the list, and I don't know them. I don't know what these are. These are incredible. He's going to talk about I know a version of what he refers to as Smart Page X, which is the next generation of generating traffic on the Internet. I'm trying to get him to release that to me early, but he won't. And we're going to talk with John Childers. Now, John Childers, I mentioned earlier. John Childers is one of my mentors, and John Childers, I've just recently been to his training in Las Vegas. I've recently spoke at his training. This man is going to be responsible for probably, well, I can probably tell you this. This year alone will probably be over $250,000 in my bottom line because I went to his training. He talks about public speaking, how to do it properly. This is important for many, many reasons. Many of you thinking, well, I have an Internet business. Why do I need to know about public speaking? Folks, you need to know about public speaking. If you just concentrate on just the Internet, you're missing money. You're leaving it on the table. You have to do things like we're doing right now, teleseminars. That's public speaking. You need to concentrate on things like, getting your name out there and actually maybe speaking at a live event. John's going to show you how you can do that, and he's going to talk about what's the most powerful ways to do it, how you can do it yourself, because once you hear this, it's just simply amazing. I mean, I went there. I sat for 4 days with this man, and everything he said blew me away. And the results that I had at the next event that I went to was just amazing. I mean, we're talking about 66% of the people in the room buying my products and services. Pretty amazing. And it was just small things that he said. So I was just extremely excited. David Garfinkel's talking about how to create huge windfalls of cash also with words. And David, again, is another great copywriter. He's going to be talking about different aspects of copywriting that Michael doesn't have time to cover, and David's going to be telling you all about that. Frank Kern's going to be talking about creating automatic income streams. If you've never heard Frank Kern before, you need to hear him. This man is just simply amazing with what he does and how he does it. He simply creates these little targeted niche markets and goes after them with a vengeance, and he does barely any of the work himself. I mean, let me ask everyone on the call this. If you could create an automatic income stream anytime you wanted to, would you do it? I mean, would you like to add an extra $1,000 a month without doing any work, or an extra $2,000 or $3,000, and do this any time you wanted to? With you hardly doing any of the work, how many people would be up for that right now? I think you all would, and I mean, no one wouldn't. Bruce Safran's going to be there, how you can build a business on the Internet that you can truly create wealth with and actually sell it. He's going to talk about that. We're going to talk with Mike Stewart. And Mike Stewart's going to be talking about audio and how to create your own high-quality audio products. I use all of Mike's products. I've been using it for the past, I guess it's been over a year now. I've been using all his products. Why? Because they create high-quality products. It's just amazing what you can do and the difference if you have the right equipment. And Mike's going to talk to you about that. We have Fred Gleek, how to develop a line of products to double, triple your Internet income. He's going to talk all about Fred's created just hundreds and hundreds of products for himself and his clients over the past 18 years. And there's probably one or two people I missed, but there's also someone else that's going to be there at the big seminar. And you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you exactly who that person is, and we're finalizing all the details, but I'm going to go against my better judgment and make the announcement anyway. And that is someone that I had the chance to meet a couple weeks ago at John Childers event when I was in Las Vegas. I walked into the room, and who happens to be sitting next to my seat but Mark Victor Hansen. Many of you know Mark. Mark is a tremendous person responsible for a lot of the successes from many people. He works closely with Robert Allen as well as many other well-known people. As you know, Mark is also co-author of Chicken Soup for the Soul and all the Chicken Soup series, him and Jack Canfield. And Mark's going to be at the big seminar in March. And we're really excited to have Mark there. We got to talking, and he decided that he can come, he can make it, and we are going to have Mark Victor Hansen at the seminar in March. Now, that is a major, major plus. Now, here, let me talk about one thing that even makes it better for you, is that how about coming to the big seminar? But how many people on this call would like to come to the big seminar for absolutely no cost? Well, the way that you do that is very simple. Once you register your seat for the big seminar later on, what you're going to do is this, is simply click the link to register for our affiliate program, because we have a closed-door affiliate program, and that affiliate program pays you over $500. Actually, it's about $530 for every sale. That means with only 3 other people that you just referred to come to the big seminar, your big seminar seat is free. Essentially, I'm going to give you a check right at the seminar on Saturday night, right before I give away the 2004 Mustang convertible, but I'm also going to hand out all the checks to all the people that referred people to the seminar, and we do that live right on the big seminar stage. And you can come to the big seminar for free. Here's what I want you to do, though. I want you to do this, which is very, very crucial. We talked about our website. Every one of you who signed up for this call tonight received a link in the thank you email. That link is the link I want you to open up right now, and then click on that link, go to the site, take the next 5 minutes, and just seriously read what we're doing there. We do things a little different at the big seminar than many seminars. We have a lot of networking. The networking is phenomenal. We have a whole networking party, what I call an instant Rolodex party on Friday night. On Saturday night, we have a big dinner banquet and everything. Your lunches on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I'm paying for it all. Dinner on Saturday, I'm paying for it. It's different. Michael was at our last seminar, and Michael, just what are your comments from the last seminar that we had?
Fantastic food, and I'll tell you one of the things here. This is interesting because out of the last seminar, the networking is probably what I go there for more than anything else, although I do learn a lot, and I think I don't have time to explain all that in the call, but those networking sessions are probably one of the most profitable things that happened to me. Out of that seminar, I've gotten 5 or 6 new businesses. And when I'm talking about business, I'm talking about, in the tens of thousands of dollars here. And it's all, because of the fact that the people that go there are phenomenal, and the food is phenomenal, and the atmosphere, and there's a lot of little surprises in store for you.
You're going to see throughout the weekend, nothing remains the same as with the internet. And what we're going to do is we're going to constantly add throughout the weekend. You're going to see different things that we're doing. In January of 2003, we sold out the first big seminar. In San Francisco of August 2003, we sold out the second big seminar. And this big seminar that we're having in Orlando is going to be the biggest. To give you an idea, January 2003, we had 167 people at the first big seminar. At San Francisco, in August 2003, we had 305 people at the big seminar. And this time, we're expecting almost 600 people coming to the big seminar. So the opportunity for networking is beyond anything or any other event that you've ever been to before, because once we achieve these numbers, we will be the largest internet marketing seminar in the United States, and as far as I know, the world at that point. And we're really excited about it. We've got some great things planned. But, the key is this. It's what I call a first mover's advantage. And this is how it works. Very simple. Do you think you would have more opportunity when almost the room is full of people to come to the seminar in order to get your 3 people to come to the seminar, meaning that you can come to the seminar for free? Or do you think the opportunity to do that would be now? Do you think you'd have a better chance when there's fewer people that have already signed up for the seminar? Well, obviously, now would be the best opportunity. And it also gives you almost 2 months to go ahead and start promoting to just get 3 people that also like to come to the seminar. We're turning up the heat. We're doing some fantastic promotions. The promotions work very simply. You don't have to work. Let me repeat that again. You don't have to work. I will do the work for you. How would you like it if I took the people, all you had to do is put them onto these calls, and I will actually ask them to come to the seminar because my shin doesn't hurt anymore. I'm not afraid to ask people to put up their money to come to the seminar, and that is the key to all this. We do the work for you. We do the follow-up. We do the calls. We actually do all the follow-up for you, and you just have to refer people to us, and we'll take care of all of it. So here's the other part of this bonus that I'm going to talk about just right now is this. Is those people that sign up between now and Saturday, it's crucial that I say Saturday, actually Saturday at midnight. Let's make it that because I'm doing something special on Saturday, which you'll hear about in just one moment. Between now and Saturday is this. If you sign up between now and Saturday, you're going to receive the full audios from the big seminar in Dallas. You're also going to receive the full audios of the big seminar in San Francisco. Combined, that's over 32 hours of audio that we're going to give you. That's the full recordings of both those seminars we're going to give you at the big seminar. Plus, I'm also going to give you resale rights to the preview calls just like this that we had last time in San Francisco that I normally sell it for $194. Plus, I'm also going to give you preview and resale rights to actually this call and all the other calls that we're doing, the preview calls for this seminar. And I'm going to give them to you not only with just the audios, but I'm also going to give you a full website that you can start selling it immediately at the after you leave home from the seminar. You're going to get all those at the seminar. Now, here's something else. Now, this is limited to the people that sign up between now and Saturday. On Saturday, starting at 12 noon Eastern, going to 6 p.m. Eastern, what's going to happen is I'm doing an all-day call-in day. Okay, between 6 p.m., again, write this down, between 12 p.m. Eastern and 6 p.m. Eastern, I'm doing an all-day call-in day, which means I'll be on this line that you have right now all day between 12 to 6. That's not really all day, but between 12 and 6. And what we're going to do is we're just going to talk about you. We're going to talk about you now. Here's the key, though. I'm going to do some different critiques. I'm going to do website critiques. We're going to do some marketing critiques. We're going to do some strategy critiques. Anyone that signs up between now and then, you will be the featured critiques on that call. You'll receive an email over the next day or two prior to Saturday with your website address. We're going to give you a special line to dial in on this moderator line. We're going to do your website critique live on that call. And we're going to tell you how you can increase your sales, not later, but now, before the seminar, and you're going to get just that much more information at the seminar. Again, we're going to do that on Saturday, and again, everyone that signs up between now and on Saturday, you're going to receive that website critique, and we're going to live on Saturday. So you're going to get the benefits of the seminar prior to the seminar, and we're going to do it this weekend. So again, folks, there's all comes down to one decision, and that is, do you want to increase your online business immediately? And if you do, then you need to register for the big seminar. If you think about this, every day in life, we actually walk through a minefield. We don't know where the mines are. And many times we step on one, and obviously things explode. But what happens is this, is if you had the ability to walk in the footsteps of people that have already walked through that minefield successfully, then your chances for success to getting to the other side is almost guaranteed. And so that's what we have here. The Internet is a minefield. People have already paved the way. People have already laid the tracks. And all you have to do is follow in their footsteps, and they're going to reveal to you where those footsteps, where that path is on March 19th, 20th, and 21st in Orlando, Florida. So with that, again, Michael, thank you for being on the call with us today. And again, I look forward to definitely hearing everything that you have to say at the big seminar in Orlando. And also, folks, I'd like to thank you for taking your time out of your day. If you're interested in what I had to say here, if you're interested in making a change in your life, then go to the Big Seminar website now and then read the site, go at the bottom, take out your credit card, fill in the information, and click the submit button. Thanks again, and I hope to see everyone in Orlando, and I'll be talking to everyone on Saturday. Everyone have a great day. Bye-bye, everybody.